Hey out there, legal warriors. In this video, I'm going to cover something very, very important. How not to F up your case in the middle of it. If you have a criminal case going on, if you're just curious about how people can F up their case, stay tuned. This is the video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear. I'm a defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. My law firm's been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington State for more than 25 years. I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. So if you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get to see it. More people get the help they need. Now, I just said I've been defending people charged with crimes all throughout this entire state for 25 years. So we've seen a lot of times when somebody has made a mistake and really blown up their case and sort of made the situation harder on themselves. And I'm going to cover some of those situations that you're going to want to avoid if you or a loved one are charged with a crime. I think the first one that I see oftentimes is doing things that can affect the case without checking with your attorney first. And what does that mean? That's sort of broad. Well, I'll go through some of the no-nos. One, you generally should not be contacting opposing witnesses. You should not be contacting people in the case. That's your attorney's job. And actually, that might have violated a condition of release. And sometimes we can see someone who means well. They say, hey, I'm going to go talk to the alleged victim and see if I can get them to drop the case, right? Well, that's witness tampering, and that can get you charged with a felony. It can also get you your conditions of release violated, get you revoked and put in jail, and that's something that we want to avoid. So that's one way that you can really mess up your case by trying to help, but really you're making the situation worse. What's another way? Posting stuff on social media, right? You start posting things about how unfair it is on social media or ripping on the judge or something like that. I've seen that actually happen in the case, and now guess what? It gets back to the prosecutor. Now, it makes it a lot harder for us to say that, hey, our client's sort of a nice, normal, reasonable person that we should maybe let go when they look a little bit unhinged online. Another way I've seen someone mess up their case, being casual on Zoom, right? So much we've seen Zoom court, and if you're in Zoom court and your attorney is in Zoom court, and that's oftentimes what happened, you're not in the same room, right? I've seen situations where somebody forgets to hit mute, and they start talking about how stupid the case is or how stupid the prosecutor is or even how the judge is a B, right? And that's a hard one to come back from, right? We're going to have to delay that case a lot longer if someone ends up messing up their case by making that mistake. So that's something we want to avoid. That's doing something, again, that your attorney doesn't want you to do. And what can we do? In that type of situation, all we can do is hit the button and say, Mr. Defendant, you're not muted, and then hope the damage stops at that point. So what is another broad category where how people mess up their cases? And I think, if I would have listed it first, but it might have seemed too boring, impatience. Impatience is the main thing that drives somebody charged with a crime to mess up their case. And how does that work? Well, number one, and the most primary thing, is sort of straining the relationship between attorney and client. We always want to know how our clients are feeling. We want to know, what the client expects. But what we also want to hopefully get out of our client is enough time and enough understanding that the system works how it works, not how a defendant wants it to work. Almost always a case moving quickly will end up with a more negative result for a client than a case taking some time to sort of simmer and let it come to fruition in a more natural way. And that's mainly because of how the court system is already packed up. Just think about it. When your case gets charged, you're not the first case in that court. They've got hundreds and hundreds of cases that are already in line in front of you. And why it usually hurts to try to negotiate a case quickly are a couple different reasons. But one of the main reasons that you don't think about is the psychology of the prosecutor. The prosecutor is being asked for everything all the time. They're going to be being asked for things from their law enforcement officers, being asked for stuff from the court, from their victims, from all the defense attorneys who want them to dismiss the cases against their clients. And they really suffer from executive function fatigue. I remember when I was a prosecutor, I had another lawyer that worked with me, and he was doing all the pretrial hearings. And pretrial hearings are where prosecutors make decisions, oftentimes about what deals to offer, what cases go to trial. And he was under so much stress I had to officially remove his authority to make deals differently than what was written down on paper, simply because it was too stressful on him. There was too much going on. And early on in a case, there's no pressure on a prosecutor, no consequence to their no to the ask from a defense attorney, because they're not going to get forced to a trial typically on a new case, right? The court's going to get impatient over cases that are a year old or longer. If you're negotiating early on, number one, they're annoyed. Why should I spend any energy looking at your defense when the case is this new? I'm buried under all this other stuff, Lance. I got 3 trials. You're asking me to use my energy to look at your case? Heck no, I'm not going to do that. And so what so many people out there charged with crimes thinks, well, my case is easy. They should just get to it. Yes, if ChatGPT were doing this, that's what would happen. Right? We could just tell ChatGPT as limitless energy to look at this situation and make a decision, but we're dealing with humans, right? That's not how it works. So patience is important not only for the prosecutor having the right mental position and be comfortable enough to make a big decision, hopefully to benefit the client, but also we've got alleged victims involved, right? People oftentimes have witnesses or victims that are against them in their case, right? Maybe not in a DUI, but you do an assault case and a theft case and a harassment case. All these types of cases, hit and run, right? They have someone on the other side. Does it make sense to try to negotiate really early in a case when those people are still really mad because it's all new? Or if the case takes a while, 6 or 8 months of life happens, maybe they don't care so much anymore. Maybe insurance covered their damages. Maybe they're onto a different relationship. Maybe they have other stresses in their life, and this is no longer nearly as important. So what happens is the client naturally becomes, anxious about what's going on. They start pressing the attorney. And now the attorney, even though we're professionals, we're humans too, we can begin to get some type of negative, attitude, or not attitude, but, relationship, or, something where we hear from that client's name, oh no, we're hearing from them again, and it's just draining us. And we're generally going to get over it, but it's not something you want to create in your attorney if you can help it. So patience is important, realizing the system works how it works. It's not how we designed it, it's not how you designed it, but it is working how it's working. And when there's a chance to move the case quickly, heck yeah, we move it quickly. We take advantage of every opportunity we have. But usually time is what makes the case better, because early on, everyone's just wed to the police report, and guess what? The police report is not written in the defendant's favor. So that's another big way to mess up a case. How do we also mess up a case? Well, an obvious one, committing new crimes, right? I can think of a number of cases where we're near a resolution, and we've got a good resolution on the table, and now, hey, we got another arrest. So now that resolution is out the door. All the good stuff we said is messed up. So don't mess up your case by getting another crime. And the corollary is, if you do get another crime, please tell your attorney, right, about what happened, because we need to be seen as the truth teller. If we go to the prosecutor and say, hey, my guy or my gal has no new problems, give me this result, and they say, well, did they tell you about the new charge? Now, we just lost all this credibility, right? Because we're the ones that talk to the prosecutor about the case. You don't talk to the prosecutor. The prosecutor never ends up talking to the defendant. They talk to the attorney. The fourth way that you can really mess up your case is not doing what your attorney told you to do, and that's usually around some classes, treatment classes, stuff like that. Remember, while we're buying this time, while we're building this relationship with the prosecutor, while we're reframing your entire humanity as different from the police report, we might be saying, hey, this is a good person, they're working on X, they're working on Y, they're working on Z. Now, sometimes your attorney tells you to do that, and then you don't do it. And then when you don't do it, now the prosecutor goes, well, I thought you said they were doing this. I said, well, I thought they were too. And finally, I think the fifth way that people F up their case is simply dropping out of contact with the attorney or with the court. Now, the obvious one is failing to appear for court, right? If you fail to appear for a court, hopefully your attorney may be able to get it continued one time, but sometimes they can't. There's a warrant for your arrest, or simply dropping out of contact with your attorney altogether. Now, we've covered that in other videos, why some people may drop out of contact with their attorney. Maybe they owe money. Maybe they're embarrassed about something else that happened. Remember, stay in contact with your attorney. Most of the time, things can be worked out. But you can really F up that case if we've got that momentum, we've got this plan, then all of a sudden you sort of disappear for whatever reason. And life stuff happens, and we may not be the most important thing going on in your life, but with your attorney, especially if they're working to help protect you in your case, it's best that we have some idea what's going on. And so that's going to go into hopefully a video we're going to do here in the near future about things you want to share with your attorney so that you might not think about sharing with your attorney, so we can do a better job. But I'm going to save that video for the next one because, as you know, I'm always looking for topics because we've been doing this for many, many years now. I really appreciate each and every one of you that watch our channel. And it's important for me that if you've got a criminal case or someone does, that we avoid these things so we don't really mess up the possibility of a good result. And most people aren't going to do this, but it's sometimes, unintended negative things happen when people are trying to do the right thing, and hopefully this will help you avoid that. So if you found this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get to see it. More people get the help they need. More importantly, if you have a criminal matter in Washington State, feel free to reach out to our firm. We've been doing this for more than 25 years. If we get on board, we'll listen to what happened, we'll identify a way forward, and we will be there for you. Thanks. You just put an F on this, I'll just go like,
Yeah.
Don't do it. No.
Nice. Sweet.